The following contains coarse language, adult themes, and partial nudity. Information provided by Ms. Biddy is for educational/funsies purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Samantha Biddy, sexual health and consent educator, sexy clown, often imitated, never duplicated. And this is What Would Samantha Biddy Do? This is the first What Would Samantha Biddy Do? It is a video cast. I will not be video casting every episode of this brand new, divinely inspired, and highly requested advice column style podcast. I will, however, do it every now and again. And I would like for everyone who is only listening to know that I look incredible. I smell amazing. Lolly is screaming, and we're just going to get started. This is a podcast where you have asked me questions and I'm going to answer. You've asked me, what would Samantha Biddy do? Now, to be clear, I am talking about what would Samantha Biddy do? So, in all of my grand expertise as a relationship expert, sexual health and consent educator, long-term sober person, my goodness, girl, as if I finally got myself together to do this and she's screaming at the door. You know there's food in her bowl. What would Lolly do? Fucking scream. That's the answer. Any question? What would Lolly do? Fucking scream. Further to my point, this is what Samantha Biddy would do. This is not what Samantha VRL would do. We may have an alter ego segment where we ask what I would do in all of my flawed human womanness. But for this experiment, exercise, practice, for funsies, for laughs, for educational purposes, as did say the disclaimer, you have submitted your questions and I am going to answer them. Dear Miss Biddy, how do you approach the same gender after years of straight flirting? It often feels too friendly / not flirty enough or way too thirsty. Yours, Befuddled Bisexual. Dear Befuddled Bisexual. Dear Befuddled Bisexual. Dear Befuddled Bisexual. Dear Befuddled Bisexual. My advice for this around flirting is the same advice that I would give for any flirting, which is everybody flirts differently. Everybody has their different strengths, their different appeals, their various wiles, if you will. And I would encourage you to lean into what your flirting style is. Now, there is nuance to gender. The most important thing, as you can tell, I did not plan ahead what I was going to answer in these questions. I wanted them to be a surprise. I wanted it to be like if I was opening a letter and I was like, oh, what is this letter? And I have to respond in time, in turn. So maybe this will get cleaned up in the future. We don't know. More will be revealed. One, what is your flirting style in general? What is charming about you? What is your sex appeal? How do you show that? Two, acknowledge the gendered nuances of things. Three, ensure that you're flirting with and not at. So when we're flirting with someone, it is reciprocal, as folks like to call it on dating apps. Please don't hate me. I personally hate it. Banta. How is the banta? How is the chat? With feels mutual. At is when it's going to feel too thirsty or just unresponsive. So practicing curiosity, being responsive. And I think body language plays a big role in flirting, although we do a lot of our flirting virtually, it would seem. Sometimes, and maybe this is me being a Pisces Mercury and a quintuple fire sign in every other major placement, I will straight up tell somebody, by the way, I'm flirting with you. Like if someone cannot see my body language or feel my essence and energy, and as I said, wiles, I let a bitch know. I'm like, I am flirting with you. And that person has the opportunity to be like, wow, oh my God, thank you for letting me know. And I'm so interested. Wow, thank goodness. Or they're like, bless your heart. I appreciate it. Moving along. So be responsive to responses. And also just like evaluate your own internalized heteronormativity or homophobia, right? Like be gay. That's the answer to the question. Be gay. Just be gay. Dear Miss Biddy, if I'm in an E&M relationship, E&M being ethical and non monogamy, but neither of us are currently dating or interested in dating, but we want to have it as an option down the line, does that mean we're not in an ethically non monogamous relationship? Signed, hypocritical hedonist. Mm. Dear hypocritical hedonist, you're in the relationship that you say you're in. There's so much emphasis placed on who we're fucking in regards to what our orientation is. If your relationship orientation is not monogamy and you have established and assessed in your partnership what the ethics of your non monogamy, namely what is fidelity in your relationship, emotional fidelity, sexual fidelity, romantic fidelity, then that's ethically non monogamous. It's not just about who you're romantically or sexually involved with. There are plenty of criteria in monogamy that put parameters around the ways in which we engage with others whilst honoring the agreements in our relationships. That includes our friendships, that includes our families, that includes our professional lives. Like there are things that people practice in monogamy. And I say people because I don't practice monogamy. I practice polyamory personally and professionally and socially and romantically and etc. There are ways that folks who practice in monogamy are able to practice intimacy in other dynamics. And when I think about ethical non monogamy, most people have various practices of non monogamy if they have close, intimate friendships or if they have close, intimate familial dynamics. If we think about monogamy in its like denotative sense, but monogamy, much like non monogamy, can also be self defined. So I can't tell you if you are still in an ethically non monogamous relationship. It really depends on what monogamy means to you and what your ethics are around it. Love options down the line, though. We don't make decisions for our future selves. Dear Miss Biddy, a friend has recently decided to go sober but hasn't asked me for any accountability specifically. They have, however, disclosed to me that they have relapsed, and I'm not sure what is my place as a friend to perhaps offer accountability. What kind of support should a friend offer? Signed, a friend of a would be friend of Bill. Dear a friend of would be friend of Bill. First of all, how wonderful that you have a relationship with this person, that they feel comfortable talking to you about what a lot of people experience shame or fear or all the different emotions that come up when we're recognizing our relationship to certain behavior may not be very sustainable or constructive, or perhaps it is now destructive in our lives. How wonderful it is that you are a friend that that person can speak to about this. What I will say is that as people navigate their relationships to substance use, not dissimilarly to the ways in which folks navigate their relationship to relationships, maybe a toxic person. I don't like using the language of toxic person, but relationships that aren't quite sustainable for them. Their accountability to that is their own. Even if they had said, I need you to hold me accountable to like not drinking or not using, or as I said, the example of a relationship that's not working, I need you to hold me accountable. You can't hold someone else accountable. They are responsible and entitled to the dignity of their own choices and the outcomes of those choices. This can be hard. We can want to do that for people. What you can do is express you're going to do what you're going to do. All is well, no judgment. You had said to me that you are examining your relationship with substances. You're trying to be sober. When we hang out, I will not be drinking or partaking in any substances. Like you can if you choose. I will not be. You can only be on your side of things. This accomplishes two things. It gives someone the dignity of their own experience, or it makes room for someone to have the dignity of their own experience without judgment. It lets them know that you are a safe place for them to express, address, explore, as well as, okay, I have a homie that I can chill with. I don't feel that same, oh, well, they're drinking, so I'm having a drink, or they're smoking, so I'm smoking, or whatever it is that they're using. I will also say, as a person in long term sobriety and recovery, sobriety journeys, recovery journeys are exactly that. They are not a destination. And I am sober for over 10 years now. And my relationship to neutrality around substances changes over time. I use various modalities to have gotten sober and stay sober. I have very much from personal experience learned that it is a very inside experience. And so the people in my life when I was abusing substances, if they addressed me on that, my reactions, and I'm not saying this is how your friend would react, this is how I reacted, very defensively, very angrily, ask my ex-husband. There's nothing he could have done, even if I had said, don't let me drink in the house. Like, it's, we're nobody's parent. And no one could have stopped me. It was up to me. All right. I think that'll do for now. I think that'll do for this pilot episode of What Would Samantha Biddy Do? There are other segments that I'm really interested in incorporating. I would like you to submit your questions to me so that I have something to talk about. And that can be submitted to my Instagram at Samantha_Biddy. You can send me a DM. You can also ideally fill out the form, the Google form, which is available through the links on my link tree. I am not as yet decided how I will, what's the word? This is why you shouldn't record at 1:30 in the morning. Like when you put it into the world. Distribute. I am not 100% certain on which channels this will be distributed, but more will be revealed perhaps in the next episode of What Would Samantha Be? What would Samantha Be? On What Would Samantha Biddy Do?